Welcome to our channel, the place where we bring you the most thrilling, shocking and captivating storylines from your favorite dramas. If you think you've seen all the betrayals, heartbreaks and jaw-dropping twists, think again. Today, we dive deep into the scandalous and explosive events unfolding in Beyond the Gates, where love, deception, and vengeance collide in ways no one could have predicted. Dani never expected that a single evening could change the entire course of her life, but the universe seemed to conspire against her in the most brutal way. She had walked into the opulent hotel lobby without any suspicion, her mind still tangled in the day's chaos, yet searching for some brief moment of calm. The chandelier above spilled golden light across polished marble floors, casting a glow that should have felt comforting but instead suffocated her. That soft light only heightened the dread beginning to curl in her stomach. As she paused in the center of the room, her eyes drifted across the space, and that was when everything shattered. Across the vast lobby, she caught sight of Randy and Hayley. Not standing apart. Not by coincidence. But side by side, their hands intertwined with a familiarity that burned Dani's soul like acid. They moved with the quiet intimacy of lovers who no longer felt the need to hide. Randy, the man who once swore loyalty and affection, leaned toward Hayley with a tenderness Dani had not seen in months, perhaps years. And Hayley, who had managed to carve her way into Dani's circle under the guise of friendship, returned that affection with the kind of smile that carried ownership, triumph, and betrayal all at once. Dani froze. The moment stretched into eternity. Her breath faltered, her chest tightened, and for a second she believed she might collapse right there among the strangers passing by. Every memory of Randy's promises, every late-night whisper, every fragile hope she had clung to over the years collapsed under the weight of that single image. It was not just betrayal, it was annihilation of trust. She gripped her phone so tightly her knuckles whitened, the device threatening to crack under the pressure of her trembling hands. The pair moved toward the elevator, completely oblivious to Dani's piercing gaze. Each step they took together deepened the wound carving itself into her heart. When Randy gently placed his hand at the small of Hayley's back, guiding her with an intimate familiarity that once belonged only to Dani, a silent scream tore through her body. She wanted to storm across the lobby, to rip their hands apart, to demand answers in front of the world. Yet she stood still, paralyzed by disbelief, consumed by the surreal cruelty of the moment. The elevator doors slid open with a mechanical sigh, and together, hand in hand, they disappeared inside, leaving Dani staring at a reflection of herself in the polished surface of the closing doors, broken, discarded, betrayed. Her pulse hammered in her ears. The question racing through her mind was unbearable: had this been going on for weeks, months, even longer? Were all the nights Randy claimed to be busy nothing more than veils for stolen hours with Hayley? Every laugh they had shared in her presence suddenly felt like mockery, a twisted inside joke at her expense. The thought poisoned her blood, replacing sorrow with a fury so raw it nearly suffocated her. But anger was not enough. Dani realized, in that flash of clarity born from heartbreak, that her life had just split into two paths. One led toward despair, to enduring the humiliation quietly, to accepting that her place had been usurped by someone she once trusted. The other path was far darker but far more powerful. Revenge. If Randy and Hayley had chosen to betray her so publicly, so cruelly, then she would not simply mourn the loss. She would rise from it. She would transform the agony into a weapon sharp enough to cut through both of them. As she stumbled out of the hotel, the night air felt heavy against her skin, pressing down on her lungs as though the world itself conspired to crush her spirit. Yet somewhere deep inside, beneath the grief, a fire ignited. Dani's tears blurred her vision, but they also fueled her resolve. This was no longer about love lost. This was about dignity, about reclaiming control, about showing Randy and Hayley that betraying her came with consequences far more devastating than they could ever imagine. The days that followed were a blur of torment and obsession. Dani replayed the scene over and over in her head, each detail burning deeper into her memory until it became an obsession she could not escape. She started piecing together every suspicious glance, every hushed conversation, every excuse Randy had made. The puzzle took shape quickly, and the picture it revealed was crueler than she could have fathomed. They had not merely slipped into temptation, this had been deliberate, calculated, nurtured in the shadows. Hayley, the woman who had once laughed with Dani over wine, had been sharpening her knife of betrayal in silence, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Rage pushed Dani forward. She began to move in silence, carefully collecting information, watching, listening. She discovered messages hidden in Randy's email, bookings at restaurants he had never taken her to, credit card charges for gifts she never received. Each revelation was another twist of the blade, but also another brick in the fortress she was building. She no longer saw herself as a victim, she was a strategist preparing for war. The first step was control. Dani refused to let either of them see her unravel. In public, she wore her pain like armor, smiling when necessary, exuding composure while inside she raged. She knew their arrogance would blind them. Randy would assume she was too fragile, too broken to fight back. Hayley would believe she had one. That ignorance was their weakness, and Dani intended to exploit it until the very end. But secrets have a way of multiplying, and Dani soon discovered that the betrayal went deeper than an affair. Financial entanglements, manipulations within the family, whispers of hidden scandals, all of it pointed toward Randy and Hayley weaving themselves into a network of deceit that extended far beyond the confines of their bedroom. What began as personal betrayal unfolded into a conspiracy designed to undermine Dani not just as a partner, but as a woman, as a mother, as a force within her community. The realization was suffocating yet empowering. Dani was no longer simply fighting for her heart. She was fighting for survival, for her place in a world that sought to erase her. Every tear shed became a vow. Every sleepless night hardened her resolve. She would not crumble beneath the weight of betrayal, she would rise and drag them both into the fire they had lit. From the shadows, Dani prepared her counterstrike. She gathered allies quietly, people who still held loyalty to her, people who had also seen cracks in Randy and Hayley's polished facade. She uncovered truths about their lies, indiscretions they thought long buried, vulnerabilities hidden behind their smug smiles. Each piece of information was a weapon, and she sharpened them carefully, waiting for the moment to strike. The story of Dani, Randy, and Hayley was no longer a love triangle, it had transformed into a battlefield. With every passing day, Dani grew stronger, more dangerous, her heartbreak molding her into something unrecognizable even to herself. She would not allow their betrayal to define her. Instead, she would use it to rewrite the rules entirely. And when the final confrontation came, it would not simply be about revenge, it would be about annihilation. This was the beginning of a war that would leave none of them untouched, a war born from betrayal, fueled by vengeance, and destined to explode in ways no one could predict. Dani's story was no longer about loss, it was about transformation, about a woman forged in the fires of heartbreak who refused to bow to the cruelty of those who thought they could destroy her. Remember to stay with us for more shocking twists and explosive revelations. And don't forget, follow and subscribe to our channel so you never miss the next scandalous chapter in Beyond the Gates.